Hi everybody, welcome to Chocolate Hair Vanilla Care. Today we're going to be talking about how to add yarn into flat rope twists. And if you've seen our video before on how to do flat rope twists and how to do yarn extensions, this video here is really just combining those two techniques into this one technique of doing flat rope twists with yarn. We do this for a couple of reasons. This particular hairstyle does not need yarn. You can do this hairstyle strictly with flat rope twists or cornrows, whatever works best for you. We decided to do yarn for this particular hairstyle for no other reason than to do this video because so many people have requested that I do a video on doing flat rope twists with yarn. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. Flat rope twists are directional, so they're a little bit different than cornrows, meaning you need to keep in mind which way you're twisting when you're doing your rows. You don't have to do that with cornrows, but if you see right here, we have a very well-defined row on this side, but if you look on the other side of it, the rope doesn't look nearly as well defined, and that's because this particular line was twisted in this direction. So the definition is always on the side of the direction you're twisting toward. And you want to keep that in mind every time you're designing a hairstyle with flat rope twists. I'm going to show you how we did one of the top rows here. I'm going to use pink yarn so that you can see the difference between her hair and the yarn. I'm obviously not going to leave the pink in there. I'm going to end up putting black back in, but I want to give you a better idea of what it looks like with the yarn and what the yarn should look like mixed with the hair. We're starting here with hair that has already been completely moisturized and sealed. If you see our blog post on protective hairstyling, with protective hairstyles, we do all of the moisturizing and sealing before the style. And then that way we don't add moisture or spray the style after the hair has already been set. If you add water to a hairstyle that's already set like this, you're likely going to see more fuzzies as the hair swells up from the water and then shrinks back down. So what we like to do is have everything that we're going to put in the hair to keep it moisturized for the duration of the hairstyle and prior to setting the style. So right now this hair has a leave-in conditioner in it, it has a moisturizer in it, it has a sealing oil in it, and the very last thing that I added that I will be using right before I add the yarn is going to be a holding product. And what I like to use is a control paste. A lot of people like to use a gel of some sort. Use whatever product works best for your hair or your child's hair. Different products don't play very well with one another, so you want to keep that in mind. I use Curl's Passion Fruit Control Paste for this particular style, but that's because it doesn't flake or leave a white residue. Like a lot of people use Eco Styler gel, and I can't use that because it doesn't blend well with the other products that we use in her hair. So use whatever works best for you and provides you with the control that you want, and will also play well with the products that you're using in your child's hair. So we're going to get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about here is anchoring the yarn. And I know this is the part that gives people the most trouble when they're doing yarn extensions, is getting the yarn anchored properly. I do a crisscross pattern, so I will take a section. For flat rope twists, for regular flat rope twists, I would take a smaller section than this and start my twists pretty tiny, but because I'm anchoring yarn to it, I'm taking a pretty big section here at the beginning of the flat rope twist because I want it anchored to more hair. It's not going to pull on the hair like it would if it were the whole plug, because it's going to be actually embedded in the rest of the hair here. So you don't really have to worry about how big or how small of a chunk you're taking, because it's not going to put too much stress on the beginning. And what you want to really do is let your product do all of the work. Rather than pulling really tightly, you want to make sure that your product is holding the hair properly. Now this here, I'm going to add a little bit of gel, just a little bit here that makes it kind of sticky. which is good, and it's gonna make these sections really kind of clump together, and I'm okay with that because it's gonna twist in with the yarn. Now, for this particular twist, I'm going to crisscross in an X pattern this way. So here are my two sections, and my yarn is going to go across those two sections this way. And the reason that I'm doing that is because in the anchor here, the yarn is going to go over like that, because I'm going to pre-twist this way and do my over twist for my flat rope twist in the opposite direction. If you are doing a twist that's going to pre-twist, like I'm going over to my left-hand side for this twist, and we were talking about directionals earlier. If you're going to go to your right-hand side, then you want to crisscross your yarn in the opposite direction, and then pre-twist toward the left and go over to the right. So this particular twist here, I'm going to anchor this way. So I'm going to put my thumb here and take the right hand side of the hair and start twisting it around the yarn here. It doesn't have to be super tight. Now, for this hair here, I'm going to twist it in the opposite direction because it's on the other side of where the rope twist is. So when it switches over, it'll be twisting in the correct direction. Now you can see that the yarn and the hair are there's a pretty big gap in between how the yarn covers the hair. And that's okay, because if you're using black, you're not going to really notice that at all. So I'm going to get that pretty tight on both sides before I start my crossover twist. So here we go, and it's pretty well anchored here. You can see at the beginning of the twist. And now I'm going to pass this one underneath and this one over the top. And there we go. That twist is anchored down there. And I am going to twist this top piece just like I did when I anchored it on my left-hand side here, just to make sure that hair doesn't slip out. And I'm going to add some hair to the right-hand side and twist it in together into the yarn. There we go, I'm twisting. And then I'm going to pass it over the top and pull the bottom piece through. Now you see we have 2 stitches of the rope twist up here, making sure that this is nice and snug over here, but not pulling too tightly. I'm going to add another section of hair to the right hand side. And if I feel that it's not really holding, or I'm seeing some hairs poking out, there's a lot of gel in her hair right now, but I can always at any point grab a little bit of gel and just smooth it along here to really get that those hairs attached to the yarn, and then just pass it over and pull the bottom piece through. Remember, if you pull too tightly, you're gonna lose the rope pattern. So I don't want to pull too tightly. I want enough so that I can see that the rope pattern is there, which means that you're not twisting too tightly, and it's not going to really pull on the hair or on the scalp, which is good. I'm grabbing some hair here to the right hand side, moving the rest of the hair out of the way, and then I'm going to twist it into the right hand side, and I'm twisting toward the right, and then I'm going to take that piece and pass it over to the left and pass my left hand piece over to the right, and you can see that the rope twist here is forming. And then I'm going to move that piece aside, grab a little bit more hair. You see that once you anchor the yarn into the flat rope twist, it works exactly like you were using just hair. You just stop forgetting that there's even yarn in the hair, and you work with it just like it's a chunk of hair. And I pass it over and under. There's one last thing that I wanted to show you, which is if you want to add more yarn to the hair, if your pieces are too short or something like that, you can do that just as easily if you're in the middle of a flat rope twist and you want it to be thicker, or you're running out of hair or whatnot. You can always take another piece and seriously just fold it over, put one side on one side of the yarn with one section and the other side with the other section, twist it and fold it over. And believe it or not, that yarn is already anchored in there. So you can add yarn into it at any point.